Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Rioting, looting, burning, taking over a large area in Seattle, defunding and destroying the police. Wait a minute. Wait. Why are we, the people, allowing this destruction to happen? We, the people, need to stop all this nonsense now. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance this morning on a Monday. Good morning, good morning. Good morning to you and yours. I'm Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch as we start a brand new week, and half the month of June is Adios Amigo, and this is the 15th. And, of course, we are brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with the best of tires in a very safe, clean environment. And don't forget, too, other advertisers that we want to mention include Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And Greystone Crossing, and that's the senior living, beautiful headquarters over there at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance by a Patriot. Good morning, you're on the air.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Randy, I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you so much. Your involvement means a lot. Appreciate it. Have a great day. Great day. Right now, let's go to the weather forecast. And, of course, our weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Heyburn. Boy, easy to find right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. They've got the best of rental of tools and equipment that you need for any task. And I know our weather's going to line out and start to settle in, and you've got a lot of things to do out there, whether it's working on your lawn or you're doing a bunch of exterior decorating and remodeling. Oh my goodness, they've got the tools for both long and short-term involvement. You better get a hold of them today at K&R Rental, 678-3122. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Rain showers to kick off the week and warming up as we make our way towards the weekend. Here's a look at your weather forecast for today. Partly sunny skies, expecting a high of 81. We're going to have a little bit of a breeze out of the southwest at about 14 miles an hour. Gusts as high as 25 miles an hour. Tonight, the clouds could be rolling in, about a 20% chance of showers after midnight. We are expecting a low of 50. For tomorrow, showers are likely mostly in the afternoon. High of about 62. Then by Tuesday night, 30% chance of showers before midnight with a low of 41. By Wednesday, back to sunny skies, 63. Thursday, sunny, 71. By Friday, sunny and 76. That's look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, my. And a little unsettled, but really the weekend wasn't that bad. And right now, currently, what have I got outside the studio? I forgot to check my, hold on just a minute. I'm going to lean over here, and I'm going to check my thermometer. thermometer, and I have 54 degrees outside my studio right now. Weather brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn, and the number to call for the best of tools and equipment, 678-3122. Caller, I'll be right there. I want to remind everybody, too, about somebody else that does the best at their job, and that's Daryl's Cleaners. Hello, Kevin. Hello, Cindy. Hello, everybody over at Daryl's. You know, not only the dry cleaning of all your clothes and taking care of your clothes, they're expensive, doggone it. You want to make sure they last a long time. So get them dry cleaned, take care of them at Daryl's, and if you don't have time to do the washing, take your washing and into Daryl's, and they'll wash, dry, fold, and iron all the clothes, just like Mama used to at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see those good folks today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dad.
Yes, sir.
You know, the other day, my wife went to print out her bank statement, and her printer was out of ink. No problem. We'll just go get some more. We went to 5 stores in Burley, and nobody had it.
You know, Keith...
Now, the moral of the story is you have 2 options. You can either buy it online or you can go to Twin Falls.
Wait a minute.
What we chose was to go to Twin Falls.
Yeah.
Well, the price of gas in Burley was $2.39 a gallon. In Twin Falls, we bought gas for $2.13. Why do people go out of town to shop?
I want to refer to what you were mentioning, and I'm going to ask a favor of Sean first. Sean, could you just give me a little bit more of an increase in the feed line to my headsets? I'd appreciate it. Keith, you know, it's funny that you should be talking about getting ink for a printer, because we too had that problem. And one of the reasons is the stores just don't have them available like they used to, is because during the last 2.5, 3 months of staying at home and people doing their business from home, they were doing and using more of the inkjets, if you will. And we also had the same problem you did.
Okay, well, we'll make that an excuse. But there's so many things that we don't have here in Burley because people go out of town to shop, or they buy it on Amazon or whatever. You know, I like to shop at home, and I will every time I get a chance. But gosh, they take that chance away from you.
Well, I believe in free enterprise, and I especially believe in doing business as close to the front door as I can. But in this case, and I'm serious, Keith, you brought up a subject that a lot of people haven't thought about. I mean, office supply companies have been making a landfall business profit because of people that are staying home, and that's one small example on the inkjets and for the printers. And I know Deanna and I were commenting on this the other day. People are staying home, they're doing their job, and going through a bunch of office supplies right there in their home. So there's your problem, and I do believe in shopping close to home. Thank you for breaking the ice here this morning. I appreciate it.
Let's have a wonderful day.
I hope so. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Our thanks go out to Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Caller, I'll be right there. Please just stand by just for a second. And don't forget the number to call, 678-0459. They open the doors early in the morning at 7:30 to 5 Monday through Friday. And it's not bragging, it's a fact. They have all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs right there with the best and most qualified people. They've been doing this for almost 7 decades. They know. Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley, 678-0459, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Want to also acknowledge our friends before we take this call, and that's, of course, Dino Septic Service. You know, when you say septic service, a lot of people are going, ooh, well, yeah, you don't want to be doing that job. You don't want to be standing out there taking care of your septic tank pumping or liquid waste removal, but that's their job, and that's why they're available, and that's why they've even expanded to better serve more people. Dino Septic Service, the best with fast, fair, friendly service for you. Along with that, they've got the best in backhoe services, water and sewer lines installed, and septic inspections, all of this. Call them at 436-6526 or 678-1638. Dino Septic Service, you give them a call today. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zebediah. How you doing?
Well, Bob, it's been a long time no talk to. How are you?
I'm okay. Along with what Keith was talking about, you know, we have this hospital here in Burley, and I have to go to Twin, Boise, Salt Lake, Pocatello, anywhere to get a lot of our medical stuff done. Why?
Well, I don't know what medical stuff you're referring to, Bob, but I will say this, you know, that I am never going to denigrate any hospital or medical facility because they all, I think, are trying to do their very, very best. And so I'm not going to get on the radio and I'm not going to say one better than the other. I just can't do that.
Well, I understand, and I think they're doing the best they can. But my goodness, I said here the other day, I don't know whether they could do a good circumcision here in Burley without going to Twin.
Well, great analogy, Bob. I really appreciate that.
But anyway, I have to agree. You have to go out of town for a lot of stuff, and it's like she said, the gas is cheaper. And I just don't understand why.
Well, I think...
The thing I want to complain about is our railroad crossings in Cassia County, and that includes the city of Burley.
You know something? Right there...
Crossings that there are in the state.
You know, Bob, I got to be honest with you. I don't understand why these absolute canyons are still left by these railroad crossings and some of the roads right there. I mean, if it's a matter of funding and not being able to fill the holes or whatever, but I know one in particular that to get up to the railroad crossing, you literally have to bounce your pickup across the Grand Canyon. It's absolute. I don't know why they're not taking care of these. The front ends, the tires, and everything on the vehicles are being thrown out of whack.
Well, I've just spent $200 on my pickup.
Well,
railroad crossing out here on 400 south of Burley that is pathetic, terrible, and nothing gets done about it.
I understand your frustration and pain because some of the holes, and you know, there's some divots in the highway, especially one going to Burley from right here at my place. It's about, maybe 10, 11 miles away from my place. And that thing is it's sunk across both lanes, and you can't avoid it. And when you're pulling a trailer with horses in it, the horses end up with their ears smashed against the ceiling. It's a pathetic little divot that could have been fixed a long time ago.
Well, I just don't know what they're doing with their money. They don't answer to nobody, and nobody will answer back. So have a good day, Zeb.
All right, my friend. Thank you very much, Bob. Appreciate it. Caller number 2, you're on the air, but I'm going to ask your indulgence just 30 seconds, and I'll be right with you, I promise. I want to remind everybody, and they're going ahead with this, and I respect them, and that's the Rupert 4th of July celebration in Rupert. God bless them. Yes, they're going to wave that red, white, and blue and be proud of America with the theme Rockin' in the USA. Absolutely, with Grand Marshals Charlie and Lori Creason and the main sponsor PMT. tea, and they're going to have a customer appreciation luncheon on Monday, June 29th, and then on Tuesday, June 30th, the Christmas lighting breakfast in the square, and then from then, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for the Rupert 4th of July. It's going to be fun. So everybody planned to be there. They're going to have patriotic programs, Sounds of Freedom, lawnmower races, great parade, everything as usual. And I say salute Rupert for saying we're going to go on and really celebrate Independence Day and the 4th of July over in Rupert. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. When you bring up hospitals, I have a friend that's in a position to know how many COVID-19 patients are actually in all of the St. Luke's hospitals here in the Magic Valley. What would we've been hearing about all the cases. Cases don't mean diddly squat. How many people are actually going in the hospital being treated? It's 3. That was last Thursday, the 11th. 3 people total. So they're scaring everybody to death, and our paper's doing a good job. I've got 3 friends that are just totally paranoid that they're going to die from this virus.
Yeah.
When the death rate, of course, is ridiculously low. I mean, it's the people that are affected, and I think in Idaho, 60% of the people that are dying are in care centers and nursing homes. So this whole thing has been so blown up, but it's all about scaring us to death. It's always been the politics of fear, Zeb. And it just, a Saturday supposedly was the day that everything was opened up. Well, I guarantee you, I went to a restaurant in Twin Falls, and they're still at half capacity.
Mm-hmm.
People are scared to come out. It's a prominent restaurant, and there was hardly anybody there at lunchtime.
Well, let me jump in here and share the conversation a little bit with you, Adrian. There are people, and I'm not going to beleaguer this fact. I've got calls stacked up, and caller number 2, stand by. I'll be right there. There are people, including Governor Cuomo of New York, that are making a little saber rattling right now in saying that they're going to have another shutdown because of what they say, quote unquote, another wave of the coronavirus. And I'm telling you right now that if it goes across the United States to where other governors, including our own, are going to say, well, we better have another shutdown, I am going to absolutely lead a revolt on this radio program. No more shutdowns. We're adults. We can prepare and we can take care of ourselves, and we don't need to economically slit our throat.
Well, I'm afraid we're already bleeding badly, and but no, these cases thing it's nationwide, and they also said that Arizona, after the demonstrations and so forth, and so how many, they got a lot of cases, new cases, but how many people in Arizona hospitals? 1.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
COVID-19 patient.
Got to run, Adrian. Your points are...
Hospitals you've been seeing, hospitals are letting people go because there's nothing happening.
Yeah.
They prepared for all of this draconian case, COVID-19 coming in, all the ventilators and all this stuff. All these emergency things, and nothing happened.
Got to run.
This virus is extremely weak. I sent you a link. You need to look at it about COVID facts.
Right.
It really fills in the details a lot.
All right, Adrian, I got to run. I got to get a commercial in, and I got to run, but your point on this is so well taken. I'm going to be talking more about this corona rescare in just a moment. Thank you.
I'm still not able to go to the church of my choice.
Yeah.
And it's 334-2100. We're supposedly wide open, but we're not.
Okay, Adrian.
And it's just ridiculous.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot, Deb.
All right, sir. Have a good day. Thank you. Caller, I promise I'll be right there, but I want to tell everybody Doug Martin's business is for sale. What kind of business? Well, he has Doug's alternator and starter repair. You know, here you go, folks. This is something you don't have to build up. You don't have to go find the equipment. You don't have to build the shop. I mean, it's a beautiful facility. I've been there, and it's all ready to go at 635 21st Street in Hayburn. And the number to call to find out more, call Call Doug right now. It's 878-4991. 878-4991. Great turnkey business operation ready for you, and he will train the buyer of the business. So please, this is for sale. This business could be for you. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair in Heyburn, 878-4991. Caller, you've been so patient. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. Good morning again. You know, they were talking, I think it was Bob that was on there, was talking about the railroad crossings. But anyway, I was the commissioner on the highway district, Burley Highway District, for 12 years. And these railroad crossings, we suggested to them that they put cement in there instead of wood because it lasts longer and everything. And the railroad would not. If you want cement in there, you will have to pay for it yourself. And that's where it was left. And so I don't know who to blame for the bad crossings, but the Burley Highway District does a good job of what they do.
Okay, Keith, I'm glad you clarified that. Let me ask you something, and I'm going to say this right up front. I am extremely naive about what they can or can't do to fix the problem. But what about some of those plates, for lack of better terminology, I'll use that term, that they lay in there to make it smoother going across the railroad tracks? What about those? Are they not feasible?
The railroad has agreed, at that time anyway, I've been away from it 5 or 6 years, but at that time they agreed to pay for the material, but they had to pick the material.
I see.
And I don't know who has to pay for that metal, but even some of those crossings are a little bit difficult to maintain because the settling of the ground and it depends on where the train is going, the weight that is put on that.
Mm-hmm.
But I have absolutely no sympathy for the railroad. They're the poorest-run organization that I know of.
Oof. Okay, well, we'll do a little research on this, and then we'll be able to respond one way or the other. I appreciate it, Keith. Thank you for your call this morning, as always. God bless you, man. Thanks.
You bet.
All right. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I have a question, audience, for everybody. Everybody, just think about this. Yesterday was Flag Day. I wonder how many people stopped and looked up and gave thanks for this great country and our flag, the red, white, and blue of the United States of America. Flag Day. Because it fell on Sunday, was it virtually not even thought of? Our flag was out. And, I know somebody just said, well, you think you're so good. No, our flag is always out in respect to this great country. But I wonder how many just really took the time to maybe, whether they're sitting in a lawn chair or maybe just having a glass of iced tea or lemonade, to look at that flag and say, wow, we live in the greatest country in the world ever. And that's my flag. Caller, real quick, I got some cookies to give away from Sophie's, but I'll take your call. Go ahead, please.
Is that me?
Yes.
The Burley Senior Center is open to the public today. Come one, come all. I don't know what the menu is, but it'll be good, I can assure you. And so we need to get people coming back there to participate in the fine food they have.
Joe, I love it the way you say things like, I don't know what the menu is, but the food's going to be good. It always is. And you're telling the truth, Joe. Thank you.
That's right. Well, anyway, have a good one, and I just welcome everybody back to the Senior Center.
All right. Thank you, my friend. God bless you, Joe Taylor, and the Senior Center on Overland Avenue in Burley.
For everybody.
All right, sir. God bless you. Thank you very much. Good to hear his voice again on the air. Thank you, Joe. Right now, we're going to talk a little bit about Sophie's Chatterbox, with the giving away of a dozen cookies. Oh, my goodness, Sophie's Chatterbox on the square on Rupert at 530 East Street. My goodness, the restaurant and the bakery and all the goodies. And they've even got outdoor seating over there available at Sophie's Chatterbox when the weather's good. Sophie's Chatterbox, and, of course, the cookie giveaway right now. This is going to be an easy one, real easy this morning, because I want to give the cookies away. In the old Rin Tin Tin TV series, what name did the young boy have in the series? What name did the young boy have in the series? I don't want his name, his real name. I want what they called him in the series Rin Tin Tin. What was the boy's name? Call me at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587, and win those delicious cookies from Sophie's. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. His name was Rusty.
What was the official title they gave him?
Oh, my gosh.
No, that's not right.
I don't know that I ever heard.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Linda, I'd love to give you the cookies, but you didn't give me the official name.
To see if somebody else gets it, so I'll know what it was and see if it jogs my memory.
Okay, thanks, Linda. God bless you. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
What was the official name that they had for that young boy in the series? And call me at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Quickly call. I want to give those cookies away. And give me a jingle on the landline. While I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, let's not forget, too, Barry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin with Eli and the Napa location. And let me tell you, they are so busy right now with all the equipment for the Bobcats and the trenchers and the scissor lifts and, of course, all the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators. People are outside lifting, digging, pushing, and carrying. And I'll tell you what, Barry Equipment and Rental can help you. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley with Cody, and then, like I said, Eli at the Twin Falls location and Nampa. Barry Equipment and Rental. You get a hold of those good folks today. Once again, in the old Rin Tin Tin TV series, what name did they give the young boy in the series? Come on now. Come on now, don't let me down. Call me at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It's the official name, and the key word there is the official name for that young boy. Give me a call, 436-2244. Finally, a company had the spine to stand up for our police forces in their advertising. I saw the ad for eGuard Watch Company, and it is absolutely startling and so professional and so well done, with a very tasteful ad supporting our police. You know, you get your bad apples in anything, whether it's professional baseball, construction work, or teaching, whatever the case might be. You're always going to have your bad apples. But the whole barrel is not spoiled. I am going to sneeze. Stand by. Wow. Blew the headsets right off the top of my head. But there are so many great people that represent our police forces, and it's about high time that a company step forward and mention their value, their worth, and what they do for the community. And so hats off this morning to a company that I wasn't that familiar with as far as their watches and what they did and what they have done. eGuard Watch Company, and I guess they're a national company that sends watches not only across the United States but across the world. And they did a wonderful job in saluting and saying thank you to our police. One more time. I've got to have a winner. 436-2244. Somebody out there call me and tell me what they called the little boy in the Rin Tin Tin series. Linda just gave part of the name. But please give me the call and let me know, and you'll win the cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox. So quickly do it. If I don't get a winner in the next minute, we're going to, I don't know what we're going to do. I might take the cookies and give them over to Sean over at the station or something. But anyhow, give us a call quickly, 436-2244. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hi, is it B Company?
No.
That was the...
No, but what was the little... Think about it. What did they call the little boy? Oh, dear. I wanted to give you the cookies the worst way.
I don't know.
Okay, well, God bless you for your attempt. Thank you so much. Here's another caller calling in right now. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, they called him Sergeant Rusty.
No, they did not.
Okay, I'm wrong.
Mike, appreciate your try. You are so... Let me just say this, Mike. You're so close. Okay, thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
How about Corporal Rusty?
Who is this?
This is Christensen Taxidermy.
Well, you are the winner, and we're going to tell Sophie's that you're going to be over there to get your cookies. You call them and let them know when you're coming in. And it was Corporal Rusty. I mean, boy, everybody was saying Lieutenant, Sergeant, etc. No, it was Corporal Rusty. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you, Zebra. Appreciate it.
All right, take care. Woo! I thought I'd never give those cookies away. Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. Okay, calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to ask, and I'm probably going to talk a little bit more about this later on this morning. We're going to be talking about the Black Lives Matter and the problems with Antifa. Well, here we go again. Down in Atlanta. This is a story that I just hate to even talk about, but we have to, because now it has ignited more of the riots, more of the problems across the United States. But I don't see how the police can be anywhere or anyhow held accountable in this case for doing anything other than their job. Are we going to let people do a crime, commit a crime, and hurt innocent people or do whatever they want without any kind of going after them? Are we just going to say, oh, well, there they go. Doggone, I wish we could do something, but we can't. Down in Atlanta, a guy went through a Wendy's. I'm going to make a quick synopsis on this. Goes through a Wendy's drive-in in Atlanta, and he's drunk, falls asleep. The managerial position of Wendy's calls the police. They respond. They come over and get the guy out of the car, and they're going to take him for allegedly being intoxicated, and they start putting the cuffs on him. And the guy, a big guy, grabs a taser from the police. Now, I have seen the tape of the police making the arrest, and the police were extremely polite to the man and were attempting to put the handcuffs on, put him in the car, and he revolted and grabbed the taser from one of the police, tried to hit the police with the taser, and was running away. And the cops shot him. Now, what do you do? What do you do when you have a resisting of law enforcement? What do you do when you don't know anything about this guy that all of a sudden goes nuts and grabs a taser and turns it on the police and he runs away? Are we just going to turn into a society of, well, we're just going to carry a little baton, and if you run away, golly, we'll try to catch you the next time? We don't know anything about the guy's background, what he had done, what he was attempting to do, whatever the case might be. But are we going to always have to let people go? He tried to tase the police. And he ran away, and the police shot him. What do you think? Please, I want to hear from you. Let us know. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. We're in the middle of a big pit. And this big pit is just having more sticks and leaves and everything thrown into it, and then somebody's going to throw some gasoline on it, and it's going to boil into another big fire. Along with this problem, we are looking at a cancel culture. I'm absolutely amazed at this. I'm amazed with a lot of hurt and a lot of anger that we are allowing people to destroy monuments and tip over and break and smash and burn statues. Even now, as we speak, they're standing on the grounds of the Alamo in Texas. They want absolutely to destroy everything of our past and our history and our culture. This has got to stop. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir. What did the Nazis do in Germany when they took it over? And what did ISIS do in Iran when they went across it?
There you go.
So, what are these leftists doing, these liberals, or whatever they want to call themselves, what are they doing here in America?
Doug, I said in the opening remarks, and I stand behind my comments, that you know whose fault this really is, that we have the problems with all the rioting, looting, burning, and taking over of a large area in Seattle? It's our fault. We the people. If there's going to be a bunch of animals that are going to break the law and they're going to try to do things in a left-wing socialist way and they can get away with it, why can't we the people put them down?
Exactly. And there's still going on in Seattle. What these people are doing up there, I've read some funny things on it, and I've read some things that make a lot of sense. Is they're saying that President Trump needs to step in and end it. Well, I don't think so. I think the mayor and the governor needs to step up and do something.
Yes.
And I think President Trump should let this thing go because they've made their bed up there. They need to sleep in it.
You know, let's just stop for a minute. Let's stop for a minute right there. And I got a little bit of feedback there, Sean, if you could help me out. You got another call? Can you talk or not?
No, I'll call them back.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about the people that are store owners. I want to talk a little bit about the people that are taxpayers and live in that area. I want to talk a little bit about the inconvenience to them. I want to talk about how some of these low-class people have gone into the business and said, hey, if you want to have your business not get looted, burned, or anything else, you should pay us a protection fee. I want to talk about how much of a hazard it's been for people if they have an illness, they can't get 911 in there. What would you do? I think the people, private citizens, and I know I'm talking about vigilante justice, but we the people need to reclaim our own doggone country.
Exactly. And that's exactly what it's going to take to end this thing. It's going to take the people of Seattle saying, we've had enough. You are not our leader. You have not led us. You have destroyed us. So we call for a change. And there's going to be some political change in Seattle after this. I mean, a lot of people are liking it and donating and sending food and stuff to them, but that's a handful.
I have been all over the world, and I love this country more than anything, our great United States. And when I see this kind of a slovenly and absolutely unprofessional approach to the problem, like Mayor Jenny Durkin of Seattle saying that they are patriots, I wanted to vomit.
Exactly. I know it's disgusting what the liberals will do to appease a few people and step on the hardworking taxpayer.
I have a question for you in regards to this. Have you ever thought about this aspect of it? Number one, there are literally, how many people have they estimated to be within the 6-block radius that are now creating a new society? Have they given the estimate numbers, and what have you heard, Doug?
I haven't heard an estimate number yet.
I have heard numbers approaching from 1,500 all the way to 5,000. I mean, I don't know because I don't think anybody really knows. But here's my question to you. What are these people, if anything, doing for a living that they can afford to camp out in an extended period of time?
Well, they are agitators and disruptors that are funded by, like, George Soros,
Bingo,
Foundation, and other things. They don't have to work.
Bingo. And this is what's so repulsive to me. People are losing their businesses, can't open the door on their businesses. They're afraid to leave their homes in the Seattle area of this 6-block section. And these vermin are taking over and demanding that they lose their livelihoods or not enjoy their life. This is absolutely repulsive.
It is repulsive. And just think, the governors across this nation have said you cannot have a funeral because of COVID-19, but they allow this stuff to go on. They allow these riots to continue.
Amen. I'm just, you get me started on the Seattle mess, and I'm going to give you 2 words. Water, or actually 3. Water cannons and dogs.
Well, that, or armored vehicles and lined up and just put on the loudspeaker. If you're in the streets when we come through, you won't be.
Absolutely. Doug, I got another call waiting. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
One more thing real quick that gripes me is they're taking Elmer Fudd's gun away.
Yeah. I mean, the cancel culture has gone crazy.
So with that same thought in mind, I think all of the actors and actresses that have been in movies where they banned guns and shot and killed people should be what you call disbarred. They can't work anymore in Hollywood because of what they did.
Yeah. The list goes on and on as to the lunacy, and we're going to get into that hopefully a little bit later on. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks, Doug.
Hey, everybody. I hear we can go back to the senior centers.
Yes.
At least in Burley. I don't know who else is open, but let's go support them.
Amen. Thanks, Doug. Caller, I know you've got great patience. Stay with me just for 60 seconds more. I've got to get a weather forecast on, brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room. Make an appointment today for your hearing screening to make sure A-OK for you. We want to make sure that you can hear everything. And believe me, they provide expert diagnostic testing combined with the best technology to help and serve you. 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Rain showers to kick off the week and warming up as we make our way towards the weekend. Here's a look at your weather forecast for today. Partly sunny skies, expecting a high of 81. We're going to have a little bit of a breeze out of the southwest at about 14 miles an hour, gust as high as 25 miles an hour. Tonight, the clouds could be rolling in, about a 20% chance of showers after midnight. We are expecting a low of 50. For tomorrow, showers are likely mostly in the afternoon, high of about 62. Then by Tuesday night, 30% chance of showers before midnight with a low of 41. By Wednesday, back to sunny skies, 63. Thursday, sunny, 71. By Friday, sunny and 76. That's look at your weather for Zebeth Ray.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Gina. And brought to you by some people that really are concerned and so helpful with your hearing needs. Believe me, if you've noticed the diminishment of your hearing, don't lose out on life. Please get a hold of them today. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. Caller, thank you for your patience. God bless. Have a good day. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. I think what really we've got going on is a fear campaign. A lot of people that are running with these Antifa in fear of their lives. If they don't join up with this bunch, they're going to find themselves in an enemy position with these people. And I really feel that a lot of them have joined the movement in fear of being rejected by Antifa or Black Lives Matter.
You know, a couple of days ago, there was an op-ed written by a very far-left reporter here in the state of Idaho, Randy Staples, that I called him a fool the other day because he wasn't knowledgeable about what Antifa really is and or was or going to be in the future. And it's the naivete of a lot of people when it comes to Antifa and Black Lives Matter and how destructive and how Marxist and how socialistic they are. And its naivete is going to kill us. We have got to take back the value system for this country, and we, the people, have to do it.
Well, we've got fairgrounds in here, and I think we need to have a big meeting with somewhere in one of these fairgrounds with get a couple thousand people in there to just show the disgust that we have for what's going on. And we need to get together with people who are willing to join together and start making some waves.
I agree with you. Tony, I'm on your side, man. I just think that the more this goes on, and we're seeing the police up there with their hands tied behind their back, thanks to the absolute destitute of any common sense, Mayor Jenny Durkin, and they're afraid to go to their office. They gave up their precinct. They're just kind of, well, what did we do? What can we do? How can we protect society? And it's going to take we the people, whether people want to deem that as vigilante justice or not, I don't care. But we've got to take back America instead of letting the slugs take it like they are in Seattle.
That's right, absolutely. And it's got to happen. But the enemies of America are waiting offshore for this country to collapse.
Absolutely.
And they're hoping that Antifa and Black America, BLM, is going to do the job for them.
Amen. Amen. God bless you, Tony. I appreciate your call. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jeff.
You know, just imagine for a moment, and I forgot if Sean told me I had another call waiting or not. Sean, I'm so sorry. Did you have the call for another call? I just got off on a tangent. Pardon me? All right, thank you. Just imagine for a moment. Let's say a bunch of us seniors decide to take over a park. And we all roll our walkers and our crutches and our wheelchairs and everything else, and we take over the park. And we make fences and gates out of crutches and canes. And we are not going to allow anybody in there. That's our park from now. How long do you think that's going to last? Come on. You know, we are giving in and caving in to the absolute pathetic elements in our society. Why? I don't know. Why? Why are we afraid of the left? Why are we afraid of enforcing laws and regulatory means and methods that we all should adhere to have a, oh my, listen to this, civilized society? Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Thanks, Sean. Call me quickly and let me know. Caller, if you were on the air, call me back. I appreciate that, and I'd like to hear what you have to say. Why are we doing this? Why are we accepting the negative? Please give me a call. Denny's Restaurant, oh my goodness sakes, they're going to have a great big kind of a summer hootenanny over there this Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm just looking forward to it. We're going to have our lunch bunch over there this Thursday. We're going to start up the lunch bunch again, and the weather's going to be nice. They're going to have tables and chairs set up outside. It's going to be kind of like a Hawaiian luau, and they're going to have a special duck pond over there for prize drawings. Oh, boy, we're going to get outside and enjoy. Thomas and Michelle and the whole crew over there at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, and it is America's Diner. Come on by, have fun, and enjoy the best of food and really nice people at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. All right, I got time for one more call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to talk just a little bit more about this cancel culture. I don't know where all this is coming from. And fortunately, we're not yet, underline the word yet, seeing that occur here. I mean, the absolute forcing to stop anything with salute to various statues and trying to stop various television shows. Now there's a movement out, like we referred to a little bit ago, to stop various TV shows with respect to like NYPD and other law enforcement shows. Caller, quickly, I've got a minute left. Go ahead, please.
Don't need much time, Zeb. We, as in Idahoans, aren't doing this. We would never support this here in Idaho, what's going on. If you look around the country, you'll see that it's liberal states and liberal cities where the problems are at.
That's right.
Not in Idaho.
Let me ask you, though, quickly. Let me ask you real quick. Give me an answer on this. What should be done in Seattle? Quickly, give me your answer.
The mayor and the governor need to take care of that. They need to march in there and get those guys out of there. It's their responsibility. The only reason the liberals want Trump to do it is so that they can point fingers at him and use it against him in the election.
But
if it goes wrong, they can blame him. If it goes wrong under their watch, they can't blame him.
I agree with you, but what kind... here I am. I'm the old redneck cowboy, but I want to hear it from you. What kind of force needs to be taken at 10:30 this morning to get those people off the street?
National Guard.
All right, my friend. I appreciate it.
National Guard needs to go in there and just handle this and send everybody home.
Thank you.
They're not going to face them down with them having weapons. They'll send them. People will go home. Very few will stay and fight.
And I appreciate your call. Thank you. I'm out of time. I got to run. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Got to run to the news from CBS. I'll be back in 7 minutes. Don't go away. Oh, my, here we go, hour number 2. Zeb at the Ranch on a Monday, starting off another week. And, of course, our thanks go out to our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, very safe, clean atmosphere and environment, along with the best in tires. You stop in and see them today. And, of course, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, may I have the good word for Western Waste?
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at the Jordan Circle. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is landing ahead. Always at Jordan Circle. Western Waste Services.
One thing I'd like to tell you about is there's a lot of opening up and people are planning for reunions and they're planning for company parties during the summertime, picnics, etc. Don't forget Western Waste Services has all the porta potties. Yes, they do for that special event. You can go ahead and get the tables and the chairs and the table service and the food, but don't forget the porta potties. And they have them at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. 734-6969. Really good people. Want to also remind you about some other good people, and that's, of course, our dear friends over at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Joel Hewitt, his family, staff, serving you and your family. When there's a passing of a loved one, everything just goes into a tumultuous time, and you don't know what has to be done in such a short period. Let them help you. Always providing the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort, and the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Joel Hewitt, as I said, family and staff serving you, 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. And Joel Hewitt also serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Quick reminder, too, about we're going to be over at Denny's this week. Absolutely. We're going to be over there at Denny's for the great big kind of a summer fun kickoff of getting back to somewhat of a normal circumstance. And they're going to have tables and chairs set up outside. We're going to have our lunch bunch over there on Thursday. Holy moly, everybody come on down to 611 North Overland in Burley, America's Diner. Denny's restaurant, delicious food, really nice people, Thomas, Michelle, and the whole staff. We will see you for this great big kind of a summer fun party at Denny's restaurant this Thursday, 611 North Overland in Burley, America's Diner. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, absolutely one of my favorite guests on the program, and boy, have we got a lot to talk about this morning. I say good morning to President of Americans for Limited Government, great author, just an all-around good guy, Rick Manning. Good morning. How are you?
Hey, how are you, Jeb? I'm Jeb. I'm doing well. I'm having a Monday. You know how Mondays go sometimes? I'm having one.
Well, you're going to have to share it because I'm having the same thing. Oh, my. You know, in this business, on a little bit lighter vein to start things off, in this business, you can make all the plans, you can make all the connections, you can make and connect all the dots with the phone numbers and everything, and then people call you 5 minutes before they're due on the air and cancel out.
It happens, and it doesn't just happen in the radio business, but I'll tell you what, there's few jobs that are as on the seat of your pants, just sort of sitting there and never knowing what's going to happen as hosting a radio show, because you have to be quick. It's things change, news changes, you have a plan for what you want to talk about, it all goes out the window, and you have guests who say they're going to be on, and then, you know, the car breaks down, the baby gets sick, all sorts of things happen, and you're left having to fill a half an hour with no guests.
Yeah.
It's exciting. I'm glad you're doing it.
Well, I tell you what, I love this job, and I have for years, but like you said, you're like climbing into a plane and getting in the cockpit of the pilot's chair, and then all of a sudden, everything goes blank on the radar, all the switches don't work, and you're going, uh-oh, we're in trouble in River City, and you have to figure out what to do to cover that 30-minute segment.
Well, and it's the great part of it is ultimately, you know, listeners can't know if everything's going wrong.
Yeah.
So you have to not only be dealing with everything going wrong, you have to sound like everything's going right. And, you know, apart from Sully Sullenberg, I don't know anybody who does that very well.
That's
so those of you who were able to survive the years of being on the radio and live always means things are going to happen differently than you'd hoped, and being able to keep an audience and entertain an audience and inform an audience is, I take my hats off to you. That's actually why I really enjoy doing your show and other talk shows on the radio, because it's a much more, I'm not going to put down others, but it's a much more intelligent conversation, and it tends to be, you know, television, you know, you're in short periods, so you're not really getting deep.
Yeah.
But on radio, you get to get a little bit deeper in terms of what's happening and have real conversations, and over time develop a relationship, as I hope we have.
Absolutely. Rick, I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit this morning, because you do have, I know it's Monday, but you do have the wisdom as to look into various situations with some concrete answers. I have looked at this situation in Seattle. I've called people I know up in that area. This thing is absolutely, it's got to stop. It's got to stop this week. And what are you going to do? What would you do if you had the power to get rid of that Seattle takeover situation? What would you do?
Okay, in terms of new ones, like the Nashville, Tennessee, Asheville, North Carolina, elsewhere where they're contemplated, I would not let them establish any kind of foothold, okay? I just bulldoze them over, and, you know, when there's 50 of them, I just run them over and say, get out of here. and arrest anybody who gets in the way. So that's the initial response when it comes to your city. Don't allow it to be like the Occupy movement, which occupied parts of our cities for months and months on end, and with discovering dead people in tents later on, and just massive drug overdoses and horrible situations. That's what this is going to turn into. But in the situation in Seattle, they have actually taken places where people live. And those people who live there don't have a choice. Those people are paying property taxes to the state and to the city. They are paying, they were paying sales taxes until they couldn't get out. Their businesses are being destroyed. Any businesses that exist in there have basically been taken over and destroyed. And it's a duty of government to have order. So, this is, and there is, and oh, by the way, this is something these guys don't actually think about, all these constitutional experts who talk about stuff and don't know what they're talking about. There is precedent for, in a situation like this, for the federal government to go and just clean it up. And that was the Whiskey Rebellion, which led to the Insurrection Act. The Whiskey Rebellion was about taxes on whiskey, actually. And George Washington got on his horse, led troops up, and took them out. Said, no, you don't get to do this. Now, we're not going to have anarchy. We're going to have a government. And the challenge is now these guys are armed, and it's not going to be as easy as it would have been if the city of Seattle had done something up front. But the reality is, from the federal government perspective, I'd cut cities, unless the city of Seattle is willing to provide public safety for their own people. I'd cut the city of Seattle's funding from the United States government until they become part of the United States.
Yeah.
They don't get to, essentially Seattle, by not enforcing the laws and not enforcing the Constitution of the United States, is seceding from the United States by allowing this to occur. And so we just cut them off on the money, and we force the city of Seattle to deal with it. This is not a sustainable situation. The citizens of the United States deserve protections, and quite honestly, there ought to be every financial lever that can be turned by the federal government should be turned. And if the city of Seattle still will not enforce their laws, the state of Washington still will not enforce their laws, then you have to look at alternatives that include bulldozing through, and if there are casualties, they're casualties. But that is a last resort.
I totally
have to fix this, and the only way they're going to care is if we cut off their money.
Absolutely. I totally agree with everything you said, because some of the people I talked to on the phone, some of their relatives are afraid to step out of their homes for fear if they leave their homes, they might be looted. Some of the people are afraid to go to their businesses and turn the lock because they're afraid of what might happen. Some of the people have been approached that own businesses in the area that if you want to stay open and do business, you have to pay us, meaning these weird campers, an extortion fee to stay in business. And then the mayor, Jenny Durkin, comes out and calls these campers patriotic. I mean, this is insane.
Well, first of all, they're not campers. They're terrorists. They're domestic terrorists. And they are no different than if a drug cartel, let's put a different face on this. The Sinaloa cartel says, this is our area, and they declare themselves separate from the United States, and they set up an area in Seattle where they control it. They extort from businesses dollars for protection dollars, and they and they essentially put up a wall around it and say, you're no longer welcome, we are part of Mexico. Would anybody stand for that?
No.
The answer is no. Nobody would stand for that. So the only difference here is that the people the anarchists, the Antifa folk who have taken over, this isn't Summer of Love, this isn't Haight-Ashbury. This is a bunch of violent thugs who have taken territory and think that they are going to expand this and take territory across America in a way to effectively destroy our capacity capacity to govern our nation. That's not acceptable under any circumstance. The mayor of Seattle, Jeff Bezos needs to call her up and just tell her that she's really messing up. Interesting part is, a side note on that Washington State just joined with California in a lawsuit against Amazon, against Bezos, on some antitrust stuff. So interestingly, Bezos, who is based in Seattle, in the Seattle area, at least King County, is now being targeted by his city, county, and state governments because he's got a lot of money, and so the wealth he's delivered is now viewed, and all the lefties that he's supported, they're not turning on him because they want his checkbook. Mm. And apparently he's not writing enough protection money checks. So it's it's an interesting challenge. But because the guys like Gates and Bezos and all the people they employ, they're the ones who elected these public officials. They're the ones who changed the area from being a blue collar, more of a blue collar place, to being what it is. They're the ones who killed the logging industry to turn Washington State into what it is now. They're the ones who forced half the jobs in Boeing are now in South Carolina. So the Tacoma area and Puyallup and areas like that, which were all Boeing employees, no longer are all Boeing employees. So for all intents and purposes, the shift from the Californication of Washington and Oregon, and to some extent Boise, Idaho, are this is what they're reaping, and a lot of high-paying jobs from people who, quite honestly, hate our country and believe that and live in a digital world that's just beyond, that they believe is beyond borders.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a comment or a question. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm a garage door contractor in southern Idaho, and I buy doors from a company out of Puyallup. And they've been so shut down that it's destroying their distribution centers in Boise and Salt Lake and elsewhere. And cross-eyed Jay Inslee, who I don't know what he cares about because he's ruining that industry. He has been opposed to the dairy and ag industry of Washington. And, it's like he never gets out of Seattle or Olympia. And, he's insanely illogical. And, you say to yourself, these governors are crushing America. And I don't know if we could, the people in Washington have enough wherewithal to recall that loser. But we can't even get her together in Idaho either. So I'll hang it up. Thanks.
Respond to the caller, please, Rick.
Sure. The irony in Washington State is there are like 3 gubernatorial elections in a row where the Republican candidate lost in recounts. So it was a very tightly, narrow victories for the Democrats if the counting was legitimate at all. But so there wasn't a massive left-wing consensus in Washington State for the last, even right now. It's just that the people who have power have drawn the lines in such a way in terms of districts, have drawn the lines in a way that they maintain power. And people who live in places like Puyallup, down by Tacoma, or out in Wenatchee, out in western Washington, central Washington, really, are effectively feel as though they have no say whatsoever, because once you get over this no quality pass, it's you essentially are in a different world and living in a different state. And what's happening in King County is, is not really part of your world, but that's what controls what the government does. And the power of King County in Washington State is a disaster, just like in Oregon, the power of Multnomah County in Portland is a disaster for Oregon.
Absolutely. Rick, I've only got a limited amount of minutes left, and I want you to respond if you would, please. Here we go again, very unfortunately, with another shooting in Atlanta. Black man shot and killed. The police are absolutely being scrutinized and villainized over what happened. What are your thoughts?
Well, one different thing about the Atlanta shooting is that the individual who ended up getting shot took a weapon from the officer and turned around and fired it at him.
Yes.
Okay? There's no police officer in the world is going to have a weapon fired at them and not return fire. And that's just the rules of engagement. You can you can sit there and you can look at the video and you can say, what happened? They could have said, he followed standard procedure. The guy was clearly drunk or something, drunk or high. And he was completely docile. There was no reason to expect that there was anything going wrong, but when they tried to put handcuffs on him, he went nuts. And it was and so it's not an apples to apples circumstance. And what it shows is that there are some who they're ready to riot under any circumstance. They're not willing to actually look on a case by case basis on what occurs. And as a result, you've got Atlanta's in trouble as a result. And I quite honestly don't know what to do about it, because if police can't do their job, if they leave that guy in his car and he gets off and he drives off and runs into a family of 4 and kills 3 kids, and it comes out that the cops had this guy and they didn't arrest him, then it's just they get fired for that.
Amen.
I don't know how you can act as a police officer with the today world, where the actual cameras that they wanted to have on their vests to show people and protect people and to make sure abuse didn't occur, that those actual cameras exonerate the officer, but the officer still gets fired. And and people riot because apparently they're looking to riot.
The thing is, and I've only got a minute left, but I want you to respond to this. The police now, all across our nation, have been painted into a corner because of this far left move. Is there a way to let the paint dry and everybody try to coexist and get back to some sense of normalcy? What are we going to do?
I think, no, because it's hard to do that because this is political. It's about changing our country. It isn't about police reform. So just understand that people pushing this don't want it to get better. But in terms of what normal people can do, what local governments can do, is they should sit down with African American business leaders, because they're the ones who are most adversely affected, and try to get control of the situation by working with those in the community with stakes in the community to try to ensure that that incidents don't turn into entire blocks being burnt to the ground.
Amen. I wish we had more time on Mondays. It goes by very fast. My dear friend, President of Americans for Limited Government, Rick Manning, God bless you, man, and I hope the rest of the week does not involve any more Mondays.
You too, buddy. Take care.
All right. Thank you very much. Dear friend of this program, Rick Manning, thank you very much for being on the program. Thank you. Right now, I want to remind you about our friends over at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Now, that title, Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, tells you all about the business. It tells you that if you're recouping from a surgery or an accident, they can help. They will help with the best of staff, physical therapists waiting to to serve you. I mean, they know the exercises, and they've got the only hydrotherapy pool of its kind in this entire area. Yes, if you need to get back to being you, call them for an appointment at 678-1191. That number again, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Really great people. You know, when I talk about great people, I also have to just segue right into the good folks over at Let's Ride. This last weekend wasn't that bad. Yeah, there was some wind, and there was some rain, and there was some more wind, and there was some more rain. We didn't get it like Boise did. But, I mean, it was great yesterday to get out and go to the hills and just get on a trail and let's ride. Absolutely. They've got all the side-by-sides, and they've got all the four-wheelers, and they're located at 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. What are their hours? Well, I'll tell you. Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 2, and I urge you to get a hold of them. And they've got all the accessories to go along with everything else, and a super service department, so don't you forget the best. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, and it's true. This is where the fun is sold. By the way, too, I want to acknowledge that over there in that area, when you think about life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits for you, your family, and your business, you need to have the number to make an appointment with Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Oh, I mean Todd and the crew. They are dedicated to serving you and very responsive to your needs. So don't put it off. Pick up the phone, dial the number, and there you go. You're at first base already, ready to go to second. All you need to do is call 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Really nice people. Well, let's see. We've got some other nice people coming on the program. And when I saw this title of this book, being a Christian and being a business owner, it really piqued my interest. And so I was really excited to get economist and historian Lawrence Reed on the program to talk about his new book, Was Jesus a Socialist? Well, there's the question. Good morning, Lawrence. How are you?
Hey, just terrific, Zeb. How are you doing?
Not too bad. I got to tell you, you stopped me cold in my tracks when I was at my desk a couple of weeks ago and saw this title of the book, and I couldn't wait to get you booked to come on the program. Give us a little background on the book.
Okay. I wrote it because for decades I've heard this myth that Jesus would be a socialist or that his ethics that he taught were socialistic. And being a Christian myself, that didn't square with my understanding of what he taught. And so I paid closer attention, reread the New Testament, and decided that that myth needed to be rebutted. And I think it's important to note that there is not anything in the New Testament, no words of Jesus anywhere that would suggest he supported coercive redistribution of wealth or government ownership of the means of production or central planning of an economy. All the stuff that socialists advocate to one degree or another are very alien to what he was teaching.
Where did this concept start, Lawrence, that the left, and I heard it just the other day on the news. I heard a person that was being interviewed saying, well, if you call yourself a Christian, Jesus would have been a socialist. Where did this start anyway? Who dreamed this idea up?
Well, in the late 19th century, beginning in Great Britain, there was a movement known as Christian socialism. And I think a lot of the people who were behind it actually didn't read the New Testament very carefully. I think it requires some care, some attention to detail, and recognition of the context to recognize that Jesus never advocated anything that was that you could describe as socialistic. Even, take the parable of the Good Samaritan. I've had so many people tell me that story somehow makes a case for the welfare state. But just the opposite is the case, because The hero in the story is a man, the Samaritan, who helped another person in need, not because the government told him to, but because of his own free choice and from his own resources. He didn't tell the man, go find your social worker or go apply for a government program. He helped the guy himself. If he'd done any of those other things, we'd probably think of him today as the good-for-nothing Samaritan.
You know, when I sit here, and I guess I'm a little touchy about this as far as when people try to compare what Jesus would be in their opinion. First of all, we're talking about our Lord and Savior, and I don't think mankind has the right or the ability in any way, shape, or form to say what he would have been or possibly would be on his comeback to this great earth. But I'm really offended when people say that money is the root of all evil. No, that's not true. It's the love of money that's the root of all evil. How would you respond to that?
Oh, you're absolutely right. Neither Jesus nor the apostles ever said that money per se was an evil. It was the love of it, the worship of it. It was placing it ahead of God, allowing it to rule you that they were objecting to. And that's not the only thing. Money is not the only thing that Jesus would say to be wary of. He would say the same thing about power, which is something, of course, that socialists want to concentrate and wield for their various schemes.
You know, talk about that in depth a little bit, Lawrence, because I know when you were doing this book, you probably had to study this. But in your information sheets about your book, it says, quote, more than half of young Americans say they'd rather live in a socialist country than in a capitalist one. And my question to you is, where in the world and why in the world did we let our education facilities go to such destruction that we can't teach these kids how great America really is?
Yeah, a lot of parents, I think, have sort of abandoned the education of their own children. They've said, okay, that's government's responsibility, and they don't pay much attention to what happens in the classroom. And even if they are aware of some of this terrible stuff that's being taught in the classroom, pretty much a one-sided viewpoint in so many of America's public schools, the parents aren't motivated enough to raise objections to it. So, you know, it's a shame. But remember that young people at that age, high school and college, they are very idealistic, and they can easily fall prey to people who say, oh, don't you want to help people? Socialism is all about helping people. But, of course, that's just that's the velvet glove, but beneath it is always the iron fist.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Stop right there. We've got a caller with a question, and hold on, caller. I'll be right there. There's the idiocy, and I'm going to call it like I see it, of socialism. How many socialistic countries that are being run and overseeing and literally hamstringing their citizens are good, charitable countries? There aren't that any I can think of. When you have a capitalist society and you have people that are entrepreneurs that are taking upon themselves to take a large portion of their gain and help the populace, those are the people that are really charitable.
That's right. The flow of foreign aid, in fact, is almost exclusively from the more capitalist countries
That's right.
to the more socialist countries. It's the socialist countries of the world that cripple the ability of their own people to produce and trade and engage in productive, profitable commerce.
Caller, go ahead. You have a question or a comment? You're on the air, please.
Well, you were talking about parents and parenting, and I said to myself, the parents are so distracted. The entire country is addicted, it seems, to their phones. Nobody ever comes here. They don't even mind staying in their house as long as they got a phone, food, and shelter. They don't even care. They don't even want to come out. They don't even know what spring fever is. They missed it. And they don't even seem to care about anything but whatever's on their phone. Parenting, what's that? I don't even know. I'm scared to death. I would like to think there's a majority of the parents are good parents, but I don't know if it's not dwindling. Thank you.
Respond to the caller, if you would, please, Lawrence. Thank you.
I think he makes a great point. I lament the fact that parenting these days simply means providing a place for your children to spend the night, and otherwise it's not typically involving actually taking charge of their instruction, seeing to it that they hear all sides, and being concerned about what they may be exposed to in the classroom.
I would say this, and I want you to elaborate on this, and this is my own personal feeling, that when we're looking at the news every night on television or listening to the radio or picking up a newspaper, we're seeing a socialist movement in this country and the world that is not going to employ the Bible and the Word of God. As a matter of fact, they're the furthest thing from it. So how in the world can the socialists claim that Jesus would be one of them?
Well, that never stopped them from making that claim. The fact that Jesus had nothing in common with them doesn't prevent them from making that claim. Socialists are moral relativists in the sense that they will say and do almost anything to achieve their end objectives. And if that means having to distort or lie, prevaricate in any way, so many of them are perfectly happy to do that, especially if they are also atheistic, and a lot of them are, because if they're atheistic, then they realize, or then they think anyway, that they can't be held accountable. If they can get away with it here on Earth, there's no accountability thereafter, so why not do whatever you can to achieve your objective?
Let me ask you this question, Lawrence. When you were doing the research for this book, was there anything or any issue that really all of a sudden smacked you in the face and you went, holy smokes, I didn't know it was that bad? What did you learn while you were doing the research?
Well, certainly in looking at some of the statistics in recent polls, you cited one, I found quite shocking. Not totally surprising in that I know that the trend in public schooling around the country has been in a socialist direction. I see it all the time when students graduate and come to our seminars. They over and over again say, wow, I never heard this free market or free enterprise side of things. And a lot of them say, why didn't I hear it? And I always tell them, well, go back to your teacher and ask them why they didn't tell you. So I think those shocking numbers of young people favorable to socialism really grabbed me.
What can we do to change it, though? I mean, when we look at the kindergartners being told that police are bad and that America is bad, and then the other day on Sesame Street they featured this where two characters on a children's program were condemning America and running it down. What are we going to do to change this, and how?
I think it has to start in the home. Take charge of your child's education. If you're able to take your child out of government school and either homeschool or send them to a good private school, do that. I realize that not everybody is able to do it, but if you can, that's a great start. Otherwise, make sure at the very least that your children are exposed to a different viewpoint than they might be getting in the classroom. Check the textbooks. If the teachers are using things exclusively from the far left, raise an objection. Go in and meet with the teacher and the principal and say, why are you teaching from this text and not giving our young people a differing viewpoint? You'd be amazed at how one-sided the education is, and often it's not because of the teacher's ideological certainty. It's just they're just passing on what they were told, which was pretty much one side in their departments of education at the universities they attended.
You know, though, Lawrence, I'm not trying to tear apart parents. I'm not trying to condemn parenting today as opposed to 50, 60 years ago. But you've got to admit that parents today seem to be almost removed from really sitting down with Johnny and Susie at the kitchen table at night or going to church on Sunday morning or going to the park for a picnic so they can really relate to their kids. Parenting, in my opinion, has really suffered.
Yeah, I agree, and maybe with the 4th of July coming up, it would be a great opportunity to sit down with your kids and say, hey, let me tell you why I think America is exceptional. Let me tell you why, though we're not perfect, there's an awful lot about this country to celebrate and that we're going to just flush away if we don't come to our senses and recognize how valuable, how unique, and how special this country really is.
I would go a step further, and I've said this many times on my radio program, and I'm probably not liked a lot by various ministerial organizations, but I think it's also got to come from the pulpit. I don't think that our pastors and church leaders are doing their job about telling everybody how God blessed this country is.
Yeah, I agree with you, Zeb. And in fact, let me just in a very self-promotional way say that maybe one of the better ways to solve that problem is to get a copy of Was Jesus a Socialist and pass it on to your priest or your pastor and ask them to give it a look.
You know, basically when they read the book, all kinds of folks from all kinds of backgrounds, what is the main theme that you want them to take away from the book when they close the cover?
I would like people to read the book and come away with the sense that Jesus was speaking to the heart, one person at a time. That his was a message not only of spiritual renewal and personal acceptance of him, but also of character building. And that so much depends upon how you personally think and conduct your life, not what you demand that politicians do on your behalf. That's why the Good Samaritan is so important, because it was what that person decided to do with his own resources that really spoke to his heart, not what he called upon politicians to do because he didn't have the time for it.
Very well said. Now, I'm anxious to find out about this book, and I'd love to get a copy of it. Where can we find it?
You can get it on Amazon, although at the moment it says temporarily out of stock, but that'll be fixed quickly. That's a good sign, by the way. It seems to be going fast. You can get it on the Barnes & Noble site. You can get it from the bookstore at my organization, FEE.org, and maybe other places as well. It's not very difficult to find.
Well, I want to tell you how much it's been enjoyment for me to have you on this program, and I'm going to try to get a copy and have you back after I read it. Lawrence Reed, thank you so much for being on the program this morning, and I mean this, the best of luck with that book. Thank you so much. Was Jesus a Socialist? A great book and a great author. Thank you. He's gone, all right. Appreciate that, and enjoyed having him on the program this morning, so thank you very much. Lawrence Reed, and the book entitled, Was Jesus a Socialist? And the answer to that is no. Time for the weather, and the weather brought to you this hour. Hey, you know what? This is amazing, and my engineers over there looking at the clock going, well, for the first time in a long time, you're right on time. That's true. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company bring you the weather this hour, and they, of course, provide accounting services to the Mini-Cash area, and they have for well over 50 years. I mean, we're talking about the professionals. Absolutely. The best in tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, payroll services, retirement planning, all of this and so much more. I urge you to get a hold of those folks. They've got 2 locations, Burley and Rupert, and believe me, when it comes to helping you, your family, and your business, they're there. The professionals, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Rain showers to kick off the week and warming up as we make our way towards the weekend. Here's a look at your weather forecast for today. Partly sunny skies, expecting a high of 81. We're going to have a little bit of a breeze out of the southwest at about 14 miles an hour. I guess as high as 25 miles an hour. Tonight the clouds could be rolling in, about a 20% chance of showers after midnight. We are expecting a low of 50. For tomorrow, showers are likely mostly in the afternoon. High of about 62. Then by Tuesday night, 30% chance of showers before midnight with a low of 41. By Wednesday, back to sunny skies, 63. Thursday, sunny, 71. By Friday, sunny and 76. That's what's your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. With offices in Burley at 1710 Overland Avenue in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert, the professionals serving you. Please get a hold of them today. I can tell you they are the best. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company serving you. One other note that I'd like to get in here quick, and then I'm going to go into another story, and we'll take some more phone calls at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We had Curtis from Patterson's on the phone with us last week talking about what they're doing. You go in there and make a purchase, and part of the proceeds are going to go towards your favorite local charity, and the top two charities are going to get $500 each from Patterson's Electronics. Oh, you better get in there today. 421 East Main in Burley, Patterson's Electronics, and they've got everything. And I mean, they've got everything at Patterson's Electronics. And if you're not sure how to run it, they got all the knowledge, too. I mean, man, oh man, all the TVs, why, they've got all the Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, LG TVs, everything. All your home theater systems, video surveillance cameras, the list goes on. Stop in and see them today. Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley, open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. This story that I was going to comment on in the first hour, and I'm going to be very honest with you, I didn't know if I could do the story and not start to shed a tear. It's so sad to me. And here are two young people, JJ and his sister, from up at Rexburg, and they're dead. You can't say it any other way. A lot of people thought, oh, well, they were missing. A lot of people thought, oh, well, maybe they were with friends. A lot of people thought, oh, well, the mother, she maybe enlisted the help of someone to take care of them. Such was not the case. Lori Vallow and her now husband, Chad Daybell, in my opinion, are two of the most sick individuals that I've ever heard about or read about or listened about. But when I sat there and thought about a 17-year-old Tylee and little 7-year-old JJ that vanished, and they showed the pictures of these two children, vibrant, smiles on their face, and then to think about the heinous crime of someone killing them and burying them out in the lawn. I had a caller the other day, and he's a good friend of mine, and he said, how could a human being do this kind of absolutely heinous, monstrous crime to a child or children and bury them on that property and go in the house and go to sleep at night? I don't know if our laws are tough enough. I don't know what would be the best punishment, because I know later, for eternity, these people will suffer, and needfully so. But to do this and take the lives of two children as if they were throwaways, as if they were disposable, as if they were not wanted and just discard them. As a parent and as a grandfather, I have a very hard time with this. What are your thoughts about this sad, horrible story that took place up in Rexburg? And the mother, watching her with pictures that were taken while she was in Hawaii with this Chad Daybell, with the smiles and the suntan, and then reporters asking, well, where are your kids, and not saying anything or not responding. These people are not human beings. They are not human beings. Let me know your thoughts. This is a story that absolutely, to me, is one of the hardest stories to talk about because you keep thinking about those two wonderful children. A sister that so much loved her little brother and cared for him, and then they were killed and buried in a lawn. I don't know. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It's just beyond the pale as to how inhuman we can be. Ladies and gentlemen, while I have just a moment here, I want to remind you again that Doug Martin has his business for sale, and I want you to be aware of it because this could be and may be a great business opportunity for you. I urge you to get a hold of Doug and talk to him because it's a turnkey business operation, meaning that it's all ready, it's all set. The shop, beautiful shop, all the equipment, everything, and Doug's knowledge to help make sure that you get all the training on how to run the business and rebuild the starters and all the repair, etc. at Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair at 635 21st Street in Heyburn. Number to call, please, 878-4991. That number again, 878-4991. And as I said, it's a turnkey business operation for you. Give him a call right now, 878-4991. Doug's Alternator and Starter Repair. Oh, my. Monday. And coming up next hour, we just received word, and I don't even have the topic of information yet, but we just received word that the Pacific Legal Foundation is going to have a lawyer on at 10:06. We had a cancellation at the last minute, and my lovely bride, who I want to thank publicly on the air, went overboard trying to get me some connections to fill that half hour with the Pacific Legal Foundation. And so they're going to be on the air at 10:06. Then at 10:30, if you have any questions whatsoever about how does your garden grow, yep, Vicky's Country Garden at 10:30. Oh, I tell you what, here we are, middle of June, and we've had some kind of gnarly, cold, windy, rainy, you name it, we've had it weather, and let's talk about your garden, what it's doing, what it's not doing, and you can ask her questions, and that's coming up at 10:32. Followed by a segment that really has pulled on the heartstrings of a lot of folks, and that's Dog Days, put out by the Minidoka Animal Control and Deb Hines, and she's going to feature one or two various dogs that are looking for a new home with people that really care about them. So that's coming up in the next hour, so we appreciate it. Once again, don't forget we're going to be at Denny's this week on Thursday, Lunch Bunch. We're back and swing again at 11:30, pardon me, at Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, and we're going to have kind of an outdoor summer fun party this Thursday at Denny's, and that's 611 North Oberlin in Burley. Be there, and we're going to have gift certificates to give away and everything else. Going to be a lot of fun at America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant. Right now, I'm going to send it back over to the main studio, and we're going to hear the big boys from CBS come in here, and we'll be back in about 7 minutes. Oh, good morning, and I say that as it is a Monday, and I have a hard time getting rolling on Monday, I'll tell you that. And I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and start getting all the information processed for this program, and maybe about 6 or 6:15, the old eyes start closing again. Anyway, good morning, Zev at the Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you with a very safe, clean environment and the best in tires. Your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. And, of course, don't forget Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And along with our friends at Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn, let me tell you something, this place is really top-notch. Brand brand new facility, seniors, you need to call. I'm going to give you the number first and foremost, 650-4979. That number again, 650-4979. Make an appointment so you can see this beautiful 12-bedroom home where they feature delicious 3 meals a day, snacks, housekeeping, local transportation, all of this for you. Seniors, this is the place. Greystone Crossing. Call Matt or Kelly Wiggins at 650-4979. Greystone Crossing Senior Living on 21st Street in Hayburn, where seniors live with their friends. Right now, I also want to mention, too, about 7K metals. I'll tell you, a lot of people are interested in silver purchases, especially at this time of our economy, etc. And you can help yourself build your financial security and future through 7K metals. And the silver is sent right to your home. Wow, it's a great saving opportunity for you and a real valued treasure for your loved ones in the future. So find out more. Contact two good friends of mine, Lon Hardy at 312-8699 or Sharon Wilmot at 430-3259. Mention my name. Tell them I told you to call. They'll treat you right and tell you all about silver purchases with 7K metals. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, and we are very fortunate to have filled this half hour with an attorney with the Pacific Legal Foundation, and I found out a little bit about him. He lives in Northern Virginia, married, and has 2 small dogs named Peaches and Peanut. Daniel Weislaw, what kind of dogs have you got?
Hey, Zeb, they're actually both rescues, so I'm not sure entirely what they are, but one of them's a pug and chihuahua mix of some sort, and the other one is a beagle mix.
Oh, my goodness sakes. Well, listen, it's really nice of you to come on the program this morning, and you do a lot of work and have written a lot of interesting topics regarding unreasonable searches and sovereign immunity. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, sure, Zeb. So I actually used to be a public defender before I came to PLF, and so police powers, searches, seizures, confession kind of laws have always interested me because I think it's really where the rubber of the government meets the road of the citizen. And so if we're not careful about circumscribing the powers of the government and holding public officials accountable who are understandably and importantly enforcing our laws, then you have a situation that's ripe for tyranny. So it's an interesting area that's always really interesting.
Well, it's not only an interesting area, to use your language, but it's also a very murky, dark swamp area right now because of what's happening to our police forces across the country. They're being demonized. They're being absolutely with thoughts of defunding and destruction, and we would have nothing but anarchy in this country. What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts in terms of what we're doing at PLF and what we're looking at, some of the different doctrines that happen, is we're particularly concerned with one of these doctrines called the doctrine of qualified immunity, which is one of these rules that judges came up to exempt police officers, but beyond police officers, also prosecutors and any kind of state official from liability under a federal statute that protects people's civil rights, specifically constitutional rights. And what the courts have done is said that if you want to sue a police officer, a prosecutor, a public official, a state official for any reason under your federal constitutional rights on the state against a state official, you have to get over this very tough obstacle of proving a clearly established right. But the way that the courts have defined clearly established right is basically so fact-bound that it's almost impossible.
I guess I'm sitting here and I'm saying, yeah, but, and I'm going to play devil's advocate quite a bit with you on this. If you take away the immunity for all police and tear away any protection that they have in trying to protect the public, when somebody wants to turn around and throw a lawsuit at them, pretty soon you won't have to worry about defunding the police because there won't be anybody that wants to apply for the job.
Well, first of all, Zeb, I think we have to have an understanding on a sort of baseline level of what sovereign immunity is. And what Congress did is they passed a law in 1871 called the Civil Rights Act of 1871, also called the Ku Klux Klan Act, because it was mostly aimed at targeting state officials who were Ku Klux Klan members discriminating against people on the basis of race during Reconstruction. And so the federal government has already waived immunity for state officers, including police officers. But what the courts have done is they've exempted them with sort of in contradiction to this statute from claims against them that have to now get over this obstacle. So we still have pleading standards, especially federal pleading standards, that are very high and that actually weed out frivolous claims. So all that this doctrine is doing is now weeding out non-frivolous claims against police officers.
Okay. You know, this is basically, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Dan, because you know so much more about it than I do. But when I look at various cases that I've had on my program over the years that you, as on behalf of the PLF, have been involved in, whether it's the lake made over on a ranch in Wyoming, or whether it's the running over of an endangered species that was totally an accident by a farmer in California, whatever the case might be, there's got to be somewhat of a protection for property owners and others of having just basically the EPA and others standing there with a hangman's noose saying, no matter what happens, we're going to get you.
Well, that's one of the interesting things, is that this doctrine of qualified immunity doesn't apply just to police officers. I know a lot of the debate right now is centered around police officers, but it would apply to inspectors like the EPA and like state inspectors who are doing environmental reviews and things of that nature. And I just want to point out sort of how fact-bound it is. So we understand that under the Fourth Amendment, we have a right against unreasonable searches and seizures. So, you know, a police officer can't just pull you over and strip search you for no reason. Now, there was a case in 2009 that the Supreme Court of the United States decided called Safford Unified School District versus Reading. And in that case, there was a very young school child who was strip searched by public school officials on the suspicion that she had drugs. It was actually ended up being prescription or over-the-counter. It was prescription ibuprofen or something of that nature. But the Supreme Court said, well, it's not clearly established that you have a right against being strip searched by school officials on mere suspicion. So it's the definition of that right as incredibly specific that has prevented a lot of good claims for abusive conduct that violates the Constitution itself from going forward. So I just wanted to clarify that.
No, I'm glad you did, but you know, I'm very worried in our society today of Big Brother having all the powers and looming over all of us with controls and thou shalt not do this, thou shalt do this, thou shalt wear this, thou shalt not go here. We need people like you that are very present and knowledgeable about what's going on. But where we are today, I mean, what are your concerns about this qualified immunity and where it needs to go and how much power it needs to have?
Sure. So, as I mentioned earlier, federal pleading standards are a lot higher today than they were in the 1960s and 70s when the court created this doctrine. So I don't think it's really particularly necessary anymore in terms of protecting police officers, because pleading standards already do that. If somebody makes a case against a police officer that's frivolous, it can already be dismissed the same way that things are dismissed under qualified immunity. But one of the things that's important to understand about this is some of the economic aspects of it. So we can apply some of the economic theories that we understand from free market economics, and as we know, civil liability is just one of the best methods for holding people accountable and changing behavior in a free society. And that's the mechanism that is really substantially being hampered by the doctrine of qualified immunity. And we can understand this if we look at one of these economic theories called moral hazard. So if you buy an expensive phone and you buy a really good insurance policy for it, you might not take as much good care of that phone. You might not put a case on it in case you drop it, because you know if you drop it, it doesn't matter. If you're playing poker with other people's money, you're going to be less careful. And so it's not just about specific harmful actions that intentionally are taken by state officials, but those actions on the margin that are maybe slightly more negligent.
Let me ask you this, Daniel, and again, I'm just an old redneck cowboy from Idaho, so bear with me. Sure. But I've traveled all over the United States, literally, in my other profession of announcing special events all over this country. And when people talk about going through the South, like going through Georgia and getting caught in a speed trap where there is not an opportunity for you to kind of talk your way out of it or even to prove your innocence, this is a kind of situation that I feel would also be helped to where you're not going to be caught up in something that they're going to try to hang on you that's not legal.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that civil liability, especially when we're talking about holding public officials and police officers and the people who enforce and write the laws accountable, is that they are then going to be second-guessing their actions. And we don't want them to second-guess their actions so far that they're crippled in what they do. But when we're talking about civil regulatory mechanisms like private liability, that actually results in the right amount of second guessing and the right amount of taking caution to ensure that you're not violating people's rights. And this applies, like I said, to environmental inspectors, to prosecutors, to the same extent that it applies to police officers.
Yeah.
So yeah, that police officer perhaps will be a little bit more careful when they pull you over, not to do an illegal search on your car, for example.
What about the farming and agriculture communities of which I'm involved in? I mean, it seems like Big Brother is always looking over everyone's shoulder, and I know with some of the stupid water cases as far as having a pond in your backyard, and then they're saying that that's all part of a national waterway and they're going to come after you. Is this going to help make these people be more responsible in some of their accusations?
I think so, because it removes one of these obstacles to liability, and it creates more access to justice when you have public inspectors and state officials rolling over your property rights. One of the most invidious sort of enforcement mechanisms is this mechanism called administrative searches. And what this is it's a doctrine basically created by the Supreme Court as an exception to the Fourth Amendment back in between the 70s and the 80s, where they said, well, if the search is for environmental reasons or some sort of civil regulation, then maybe it's not so important that the government go and get a warrant. And, of course, this has created a scenario where people's properties are being searched without a warrant, which would have been unreasonable even at the time of the founding, which is part of the reason for the revolution itself. And so there are some legal doctrines that the court has developed to circumscribe the way that these searches happen, and removing qualified immunity would make it a lot easier for farmers, ranchers, upholsterers, any kind of business to then hold these inspectors accountable when they do overstep their bounds of their search authority.
Do people realize how serious this is here in America today as opposed to maybe 50 years ago? I know that you, on behalf of the Pacific Legal Foundation, wouldn't have got involved if it's not a big, serious matter.
It is serious, and I think the prospect of over-regulation has been a big driving force behind why we're interested in this. Every day it seems more and more innocuous conduct is illegal, whether it's a civil violation or a crime. There was a book written just in the last handful of years called 3 Felonies a Day, how people commit, on average, 3 felonies a day without realizing it, just because so much stuff has become illegal.
Oh, my.
And it's been a slow and almost silent encroachment on our rights. If you look at it, if you want to be a carpenter, an upholsterer, if you want to run a barber shop, there are all of these rights that you're now forfeiting because of these regulations that open you up to inspections, that make you file certain documents, including telling the government about all of your clients and other things that I think should be protected under the Constitution.
You're a very interesting man, and what about your future? I mean, you're young, and you got a great thought about what you want to do in the future. How high in the legal profession do you want to go?
Well, I'm very happy working at Pacific Legal Foundation. It's sort of been my dream since I was in law school. I wanted to litigate important constitutional issues, and I think Pacific Legal Foundation, being as principled as it is, gives me quite a platform for doing that and arguing cases in federal courts and eventually in front of the Supreme Court. And so what I'd like to do is end some of these invasive government policies that result in unaccountable public officials. And in particular, one of my main concerns is the protection of property under the Fourth Amendment, which I think is something that has been substantially eroded. So I'd like to reverse some of the doctrines that have been created by the court that have exposed our persons, houses, papers, and effects to inspection without a warrant, which was unreasonable at the time of the founding and should be considered unreasonable today.
You know, Dan, I totally agree with everything you're saying. And when you started in law school to where you are now, there's already been a big transition. Do you think we can ever get back to the original concept of what our forefathers started with our country and our Constitution and private property rights, or is that something that's always going to be dead and gone forever?
I think it's possible. I like to take an optimistic view of things. And if you look at the philosophies that undergird our Constitution, they were the philosophies of the protection of property, not just because property is important, but because property is an outflow of the person. If we are to be free people in a free society, then we own ourselves and we own the fruits of our labor, and we should have the right to direct how we use that property insofar as it's not harming other people. And that was one of the foundational ideas behind our Constitution, and what some of our founders have said, and the philosophers who inspired them have said, is that society was really founded in order to protect property. When we're talking about property, we're talking about people. We're talking about intellectual rights and property rights that flow from the person. And so I think through the more originalist approach that the Supreme Court has been trending in favor of in the lower courts as well, especially with the appointment of a lot of judges who have been sort of vetted by the Federalist Society, we have the opportunity to move more back in that direction of individual liberty and understanding the protection of property in person is the philosophy that undergirds the Constitution. And the words of the Constitution itself should give rise to enforcement of those rights.
You know, Daniel, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm very blunt. I think what you just said in the last paragraph or two exactly amplifies the problem in Seattle. Taxpayers and property owners are being held at bay, are being held at ransom right now to Antifa and Black Lives Matter taking over the city in a 6-block area, and those people cannot live their life according to what they want to do. They can't operate their businesses. They're not free to leave their houses and go out at night for fear something's going to happen. How come the same rights aren't afforded to those property owners?
Well, I think those same rights are afforded to those property owners, and that comes down to a question of enforcement. And so we've been talking about enforcement actually this whole discussion. And if we want to hold public officials accountable for the enforcement of those rights to private property and the like, then I think we need to make sure that we're getting rid of doctrines that stand in the way of that, like qualified immunity.
Okay, sir. Hold on. We've got a caller with a question, and I've only got about 3 minutes left. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air, please.
Hey, Zeb, I can barely hear you, but my question is, well, like you're talking about Seattle right now, and the riots going on up there and people just raising all sorts of cane. What is to stop the business owners in those big cities, in those states, to say, you burn me out, I'm moving out, and just leave the city a desolate wasteland that they're trying to make? What's to stop them from doing that? Is there any taxes or government reprisal that they face? I'll let you go.
Answer that question if you could, Daniel, please.
Yeah, I'm not aware of the specific local regulations. However, I think one of the things that makes our system great is that we have 50 laboratories of innovation. And so if you live in a state that you think does not promise the kind of freedom that you would desire, that you can move. And that's true of towns, that's true of cities, and that's true of states. And so I think that's an important feature of our democracy.
Well, I want to tell you something, Daniel. I hope you'll come back in the future and be on our program. But if people want to follow this story and others with the Pacific Legal Foundation, how do they do it?
Yes, you can go to pacificlegal.org. We have lots of blog posts about this topic as well as many others. And while you're there, you can find updates on some of our pending litigation that we have going all over the country, including our recent challenge to the lockdown order in Connecticut.
Okay. It's, let's see, back in your time zone, it's 12:30, and Peaches and Peanuts are hungry, so go feed the dogs, Daniel.
Sounds good, Zeb. Thanks for having me on.
Daniel Woislaw with the Pacific Legal Foundation, and I really appreciate him coming on the program this morning and filling in that last segment. Did a great job, too. Thank you very much. Want to remind you, too, about Father's Day's coming up this next weekend. Us dads are going to get treated royally, I'm sure. And for Father's Day, don't forget to stop in to Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Oh, my goodness, they've got all the recliners are on sale. On sale. Take Dad in, let him try one on, and let him say, I think I like this one. You got to try them on because some are for tall people, some are for short people, some are for thin people, some are for the rest of us, and I urge you to stop in and check it out, along with all the mattresses for a good night's sleep, and all the sofas and love seats and the reclining sofas. My goodness sakes, they've got it all over at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More for a big, big Father's Day sale. You know where they're located, 459 Overland in Burley. 0 interest for 12 months on approved credit. You better stop in and treat Dad for Father's Day at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Don't forget Lunch Bunch coming up this Thursday at Denny's Restaurant, and it's good, weather permitting, and it looks like it's going to be nice. We're going to be outside enjoying the sun and the great food and the nice people at America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant, this Thursday at 11:30 for Lunch Bunch. What we're going to do now is we're going to send it back over to Sean and the crew at K-Bar, and then we're going to come back with Vicky's Country Garden, the lovely Miss Vicky. And if you have any questions about your gardening or whatever, just give us a call. We'll get them answered. And then we're going to also have Dog Days with the Minidoka Animal Control Officer, Deb Hines. All of that coming up in the next half hour. Take it away, Sean. It's all yours.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Beck.
Oh, my. I love Mondays because in the last half hour, I get to talk to some great people, and this is one of those. The lovely Miss Vicky at Vicky's Country Garden, 185 South, 600 West of Paul. Good morning, Vicky. How are you?
I'm doing great. Zeb, how are you this nice, warm morning?
Well, I got to ask you, the last couple of days, you talk about being on a roller coaster ride. I mean, first it's cold, you got to wear the bandana and the Carhartt, then it warms up and you start sweating, and then the wind blows, and then the rains come, and then the sun comes out. Our poor little crops and flowers, why, if I wouldn't blame them a bit if they said nuts to you and they buried themselves.
Yep, that's just it. I mean, and it is hard on plants. It's hard on on everything because they just don't know quite what to do. A lot of our plants right now are needing that constant warmth, and we haven't been getting it day or night. And thank God we didn't get that malicious rain that they got up in Boise. They said that it was just torrential downpours up there. So that would have pretty well wiped out a lot of everything that we had growing around here in our gardens.
What you're talking about up there, in case the audience isn't aware of it, the other day they had, I think it was like an inch or better of rain, and my son is a fireman. He's assistant fire captain up in Boise, and he sent us pictures of the water standing on the cement right there at the fire department. I mean, you could have gone swimming.
Yeah, it was, and then the next day they got hail. The next morning, my daughter lives up there, and she said they had hail.
They had lightning. They had torrential rain. She said, I bet we got another half inch this morning. She said, everything is just saturated up there, which is not a good thing. That's really tough on small garden plants to get that wet, because then it's a dry out period then to get them back healthy again. And at that point in time, whenever you get something real wet like that, you got to remember it's washed a lot of your fertilizers down past the plant. So it's time when you do water, it's time to give them that little bit of a boost of fertilizer, so that they've got something to work with.
How does one know, and I'm not trying to be facetious when I ask you this, how does one know about the fertilizer level and what to do, what not to do, how much is too much, what's not enough? How do you know?
Well, that's why there's directions on the container.
Oh, I see.
But I mean, it's you kind of use a little bit of common sense, but I always tell people on their gardens and stuff, it's better to fertilize a little less and do it more often than to try to do it all at once. That's when the burning takes place, is if you go out there and decide, well, I'm going to fertilize today, and it says put 4 pounds on, and you put it all on at once. Spread it out a little bit and do it like every 2 to 3 weeks. Just a nice little constant feed is better than an all-at-once type feed, because like I say, that's when you can burn things up pretty good.
You kind of antagonized me there for a minute. I didn't know you were one of those people like my wife that says, why don't you read the directions? I don't want to read the directions.
Well, the old farmer attitude is, well, if a little does a little good, a lot will do a lot of good. It doesn't necessarily work that way, especially in your herbicides and that type of thing. They're not going to work any better if it says use 2 ounces and you put in 6 ounces. You really aren't going to get, it's going to just kill. I mean, that's just, you're wasting your chemicals. So pay attention and save yourself some money at the same time and not waste your your product.
I would imagine that with the warm weather coming on, and you know as well as I do, it's going to settle in and it's going to stay warm and muggy to a point where there's going to be a lot of bugs. How big a problem is that going to be?
Well, we've already seen a lot of bugs. I mean, aphids have been out early this year. I mean, really, they come out in March, 1st of April, that type of a thing. And, I mean, we are seeing a lot of bugs, a lot of earwigs. We've had the wet spring, the cool weather and the damps. And it's just, it's a bug heaven out there right now. There's all kinds of stuff. And as soon as it starts warming up and drying out and the temperatures start getting hot and dry, that's when spider mite's going to start showing up. So, there is problems coming ahead of us, that's for sure.
What about your lawns? I mean, you and I have talked in the past, where we had some yellowing areas, and they really turned into some potential problems. Let's talk about lawns just for a minute. I mean, I am tickled to death that we've got a great-looking green lawn this year, but holy smokes, is that grass ever growing? I've never seen it grow so fast.
Well, it has, and the grass and that, if you've done any fertilization, I mean, it is going to grow really fast right after you fertilize and that. And I don't know if you have guys come in and do your lawn care or if you guys do it yourself, but the lawns right now, they haven't been hit with a lot of heat, and so consequently they're growing real steady. They're staying nice and green because of the fact that they're not struggling and fighting the heat and getting, dry. They're able to utilize the moisture they're getting. And, but if you have got yellow spots and that, sometimes that can be an alkali problem, can have a spot of high alkalinity in the lawn. Throw a little soil sulfur in that area, and it'll usually green right back up again.
You were mentioning on one program that we had last year about some of these evil little doers underneath the ground, worms and other things that eat a lot of the vegetation and create a lot of those yellow or brown spots. Is that correct?
Yeah, you've got sod webworm that's a real tough one. A lot of people will see little brown spots coming up in their lawn, and they think their sprinklers are not covering, and so they keep throwing water on, and all that does is lets them eat 24/7. They cannot. So check to see if the moisture's all right in that lawn. If you've got good moisture down in those brown spots, don't keep pouring water. Put your chemical on. There's one out that's called It's a Fertilome product. It's called Above and Below, and it takes care of all of the bugs and stuff that's in the grass above, but it also works its way down into the soil, and, it goes down into the soil and gets to the sod web that's right down underneath the soil line that's eating on the roots.
Okay. But you would say to my audience this morning that even though it's June 15th and the weather has been very unsettled and a lot of moisture and a lot of wind, still plenty of time for those crops and those plants to flourish and put forth a good crop, right?
Oh, yeah. It's, to be honest, soon as it warms up just a little bit, you get seeds in the ground, they're going to pop up right now, and they're just not going to slow down. They're not going to struggle like they do early in the spring when they get cold and warm and cold and warm. So yeah, your plants and that will be just fine. They'll take off. Cucumbers can still be planted right now and still set on. You have no problem with corn coming up. Corn can come up. We've got the early 75-day corn that'll still put you in good time frame for corn and that kind of stuff. So don't hesitate. If you haven't planted, you still got time to plant or replant in that case.
Okay. Now, what is your Vicky's gardening tip of the week?
Okay, so the tip of the week for me is right now it looks like our weather's going to be straightening out and getting warm, and you're going to be seeing signs of fungus. You're going to be seeing signs of bug problems. Walk through your garden or your flower beds. That can be roses. It can be pretty much anything. Take a look at your plants. Take time to really look at them. And if you've got leaves that are not looking good, try to figure out why. Do a preventative type situation instead of waiting for the plant to be half dead and then go, oh, I think something's wrong with it. Start looking at it. Learn what it looks like when it's healthy, and then learn to notice the problems, the spots coming on the leaves, the yellowing, the different things like that. And get on it early so that you can bring that plant back around and make it healthy again.
Absolutely. Boy, this lady is a walking encyclopedia of knowledge when it comes to gardening. What are some of the specials being offered right now over at Vicky's Country Garden?
Well, right now we've got our vegetables all on special right now, 25% off of the tomatoes and all of the little cucumbers and squashes and pumpkins and all of that kind of stuff. We're doing 25% off of that, so that people can still get them in their gardens and be able to utilize them. And we still got a good selection of tomatoes and all that type of stuff. So come on out and see us, and we've got pretty much, if you're landscaping, we've still got lots of shrubs and stuff to use.
Okay, now, I can tell by the background that you've got a lot of people in the store, so what are the hours so I can send folks over?
All right, for right now, our hours are Monday through Friday, 9 to 5:30. Saturdays is 10 to 5, and now we're going to be closing on Sundays. It's slowed down enough now. Me and the girls are going to have at least one day that we can kind of sit back and do work in our own yard. So we're going to start taking Sundays off now.
And really, we're not that far away from the 4th of July, so if people have questions about maybe some outside decorating to their home, they better get a hold of you so maybe they can get that job started.
Sure, we've got, a lot of people, we've got bark, we've got rock, we've got everything to spruce that yard up. So anything we can do to help, just come on in and talk to us, and we'll see if we can solve the problems and get you well on your way to having a fancy yard.
I got more problems than you can solve, lady. I'll tell you that.
I heard that, Sam.
Okay. Hey, listen, God bless you for being on the show this morning, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week. Vicky at Vicky's Country Garden, 185 South, 600 West of Paul. Number to call, 438-5663. Thanks, Vicky. Take care. And she's gone. Okay. Appreciate it. She's such a nice lady to work with. And we've had her on this program, I think, for 6-7 years as far as talking about gardening and everything. Right now, we're going to go with Scarro's Meats. And we're going to talk about their delicious meats and, of course, all the gathering. I know a lot of graduation parties and gatherings with the family. And I know you're going to be heading down to the city park. Maybe you're going to be having a little gathering there, business picnic, whatever the case might be. We got to live, folks. You got to live. You got to do things. Well, the place to check out all the delicious meats, Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Oh, go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Check it out. I mean, they've got, oh boy, you talk about pork. They've got all the hams. They got all the pork chops. They've got all the flavors of bacon. I mean, hey, their cup runneth over. You better get a hold of them today. 324-7657. Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Rain showers to kick off the week and warming up as we make our way towards the weekend. Here's a look at your weather forecast for today. Partly sunny skies, expecting a high of 81. We're going to have a little bit of a breeze out of the southwest at about 14 miles an hour, gusts as high as 25 miles an hour. Tonight, the clouds could be rolling in, about a 20% chance of showers after midnight. We are expecting a low of 50. For tomorrow, showers are likely mostly in the afternoon, high of about 62. Then by Tuesday night, 30% chance of showers before midnight with a low of 41. By Wednesday, back to sunny skies, 63. Thursday, sunny, 71. By Friday, sunny and 76. That's what's your weather for Zeb at the Range.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you, Gina. And brought to you by Don Scarrow and the crew at Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Oh, boy, that telephone number to give them a call, 324-7657. I'm drooling when I think about all those pork chops and the hams and the bacon and the tri-tip. You name it, it's delicious at Scarrow's Meats. Changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Right now, we're going to go via the phone line to a segment I really have come to enjoy, and it's talking about dogs, and dogs that need a home, dogs that need some loving owners. And with us from the Minidoka Animal Control on Dog Days, here we have Animal Control Officer Deb Hines. Good morning, Deb. How are you?
I'm good, Zeb. How are you doing today?
Well, you know, we have a brand new dog. We got Festus about maybe a month and a half ago. Our little Ruby was an old dog. She passed away at the age of 17, and she will be sorely missed. But I'll tell you what, little Festus, he's a little corgi. He is taken over, and he runs the house. We just rented from him.
Well, I'm proud of you.
Well, having a little pup...
I love him to death, but I've also said that he is the only dog that when you tell him, don't do it, if he could flip you off while he continues to do what he wants, he would.
You've summed up Festus, I'll tell you that. Listen, what's going on in a day in the life of Deb Hines? I mean, what's it like on Mondays to go to work and be an animal control officer? Tell us a little background about what you do every day.
Well, I return a lot of phone calls and follow up on things that have happened over the weekend if I wasn't involved in it. And unfortunately, check drop boxes and see how many new dogs I've got.
Uh-huh.
And then I usually just go out on patrol and, you know, make sure that I've got dogs that aren't running and all that stuff. That's what I do.
I see. You know, let me ask you, Deb, one of my pet peeves has been, pardon me, for years, and it's happened here way too many times. You know, people, I don't know why, but they live in town or live just on the outskirts of town, and they think that they can take their unwanted pets, be it dogs or puppies or cats, and just come to a rural area and drop them off. And the mindset of these people, I wish the laws were tough enough and really tough that if we could get their license plate number to prosecute them. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I agree 100%. It drives me crazy because that's the biggest thing that I take in are people that have had they get pups. And then you know how pups are,
yep.
Obviously.
Yep.
Well, when they get to the point where they can't handle them, then they don't want the pup anymore. Or the dog's older and probably needs to be put down. They don't want that dog anymore, so can I take it? It's like, you know, that's not fair for me to have to put him down. He's not my dog.
That's right.
And I shouldn't have to raise your pups if you can't handle them. And I tell people when they want to adopt a pup, it's like raising a child.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
Stages just like little kids do. And if you cannot deal with that, you don't need a puppy.
I couldn't agree more. You know, Deanne and I are not exactly teenagers anymore, and to raise a puppy, it takes dedication, and in some cases, it takes fast legs.
Exactly.
But
it does. And it's, you know, and I just want everything that's in here to get a super good home, and I really worry about them, but we try to make sure they get into good homes and the homes they need.
Absolutely.
And when I get the dogs in, I try to get as much background as I can if they're an owner surrender.
Uh-huh.
And then if they just are in the drop box, we, like I said before, we assess them as good as we can here. But I really love it when people bring me cow dogs and tell me, can't have them anymore, they ate my neighbor's chickens. Hello, they're cow dogs. They're going to do that.
That's right. Let's feature at least one or two dogs this morning. And what's your first feature dog that you want the public to know about this morning?
Well, believe it or not, I've got two. They're brother and sister.
Oh.
They're they're cow dogs. They're crosses. They're about 3 years old. Cooper and Lily. They are great dogs, except for they eat the chicken thing.
Uh-huh.
They're good with other animals. They're good with cows. They won't work cows unless they're asked to. They leave everything else alone. Good on leash. Started at house training. I mean, they're good dogs. They just like to eat chickens. And unfortunately, they're also exceedingly bonded, so I would have to adopt these two together.
Okay.
But when I have to do things like that, I make concession on the adoption side of it.
Uh-huh.
Because I know that's taking on a big load.
Well, I can say this, and I think you'd agree with me, Deb. Colonel Sanders would not be where they are today if people didn't eat their chicken.
That's exactly how I feel. Come on, man, we eat it. But, you know, and you're like me, you know, my favorite dog is a cow dog.
Yep.
Because they do so much and they're so loyal. And these guys are super loyal. It's just that you can't have that type of dog in town.
Yeah.
They've got to be out where they can move around and do stuff.
Well, what about the dogs as far as their size is concerned? A lot of people are concerned about the size.
Yeah, this is a medium-sized dog. They might weigh 30 to 35 pounds is all.
Okay.
They're 95% hair. I do know that.
All right. And all people need to do, and you really are asking that they take them as a set of bookends, both of them, right?
Right. And like I said, because of that situation, I know how expensive it can be, so I do make concessions on the adoption part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And also, our adoption fees include their spay neuter, the rabies shot, I know all the other shots. So when you get them, we schedule their spay neuter and their rabies, but then you're done for a year. You don't have to do anything to them after that.
Right. You know, and you said these were owner surrendered, is that correct?
Yes.
I see.
Yes.
Well, it sounds to me like you've got a brother and sister pair that sound like loving dogs and good with all members of the family, all ages?
Yep, they love kids. They love everybody. Just, you know, like I said, chickens are food.
I'm not making light of it, audience. It's just that, you know, everybody's got a little shortcoming someplace. So, but these dogs sound like really nice dogs. And what number or how do people go about finding out more information?
If they want to call us at 208-438-2200, anybody that answers the phone can give them information on the dogs. If they want to come meet them, they can call that number, and we'll set an appointment and get them out for them to spend a little time with.
I think that's great.
And we bring them out, and the people that are looking take them to another part of the facility and spend time with them.
Okay.
We walk away.
Okay. Do you have another dog you want to feature? I got about a minute left.
No, I think I just those two for right now.
Okay. And, oh, by the way, what color are they?
One is kind of a red, and the other one's tan.
Oh, okay. All right.
They've got but they both got black highlights.
All right. There you go. And for more information, and you said their names were?
Lily and Cooper.
Lily and Cooper. It sounds like shades of the Old West right there. I'll tell you what, Deb Hines, Animal Control Officer with the Minidoka Animal Control, Dog Days. Deb, always a good time to talk to you, and I appreciate it for what you're doing. I really respect you, and thank you for being on the program.
Thank you for having us, Deb. Have a good week.
I will. Thank you much. God bless. Minidoka Animal Control and Dog Days. And that sounds like a couple of good dogs that are just looking for a farm or a ranch to go to and just enjoy life and serve their masters. So there you go. Let's see what else I got cooking here this morning. I wanted to remind you that tomorrow we've got Dan Kish with American Energy Alliance. And then we've got Dr. Paul Nathanson, and boy, nobody knows more about society ills and how to possibly correct them than he does. Dr. History is going to be here tomorrow, and we've got a full plate, so it's going to be a really interesting program on tomorrow's show. Been handed a note that the Minidoka County Senior Center is going to have a raffle ticket available at the center, 2 for 1, $5 for 3. Homemade gift baskets are being made up, and the drawing is going to be on June 26th at 11 a.m. at the Minidoka County Senior Center. Once again, raffle tickets are available right now for that raffle. $2 for 1 ticket or $5 for 3, and that drawing is going to be on June 26th at 11 a.m. Don't forget that. Again, we're going to be at Denny's Restaurant. We're back at Denny's, America's Diner, on this Thursday. We're going to have lunch bunch. Come on down. They're going to have tables and chairs set outside. Yeah, I'm not kidding you. It's going to be a summer fun party, and they're going to have special drawings. They're going to have a duck pond for all the drawings, and everybody's just going to have fun. They're going to have kind of a Hawaiian luau type atmosphere to it. So come on down this Thursday, 11:30, lunch bunch, and we'll see you there at Denny's, 611 North Overland in Burley. That's going to wrap it up and put it back in the box for today. We always end the program by saying the way things were, the way things ought to be. And the 4 words that mean the most to me: in God we trust. We'll be back here tomorrow morning at 8:06. Take care. God bless. Have a great day.